Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah waliyus salihin, wa ashhadu anna sayyidina wa habibana wa muta'ana Muhammad, khatamul anbiya'i wal mursaleen. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يوصيكم الله في أولادكم للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين صدق الله مولانا العظيم وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تعلموا الفرائض فإنه نصف العلم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Friends and elders, one of the most important aspects, fields with regards to the knowledge of deen, yet it is one of the most neglected aspects of deen, is undoubtedly the laws of inheritance, which in the Arabic language is referred to as ilmul fara'id or ilmul mirath. We can gauge this for ourselves. And in fact, this was the prophecy of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the Master sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Awwalu shay'in yunza." This knowledge or the practice on this aspect of deen would be the first thing to be lifted up. People would start neglecting it. People would start overlooking it. And very often we find that people who are religious, they perform their salah, they fast in Ramadan, they go for Hajj, they do all other religious activities. But when it comes to the aspect of inheritance, somehow they have this misnomer and misconception that I can do as I please. Or this is not really something part of deen. If I do what I want here, it will be fine. And we don't realize the consequences of this type of an attitude. And what are the far-reaching implications? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna rajula لَيَعْمَلُ فِي طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ 60 سَنَةً." A person will be involved in various acts of ibadat for 60 years, average age of a human, as the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. فَيَحْضُرُ الْمَوْتِ, and then death comes upon him. But he deals with the whole aspect of his inheritance and how his estate will be dissolved in such a way, فَيُضَارُ, he caused harm to one or other parties. And as a result of that, فَيَجِبُ لَهُ النَّارِ, the fire of Jahannam becomes incumbent on this person as a result of this action that he did in the end. So even if a person was performing salah for 50, 60 years, and he was doing all the other acts of worship, but the last action that he ended off, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ, that actions are judged as they are stamped off. How did you end off? What was your last action, that what you carried out when you left this world? And the whole aspect of inheritance, the laws of inheritance, it is as though your last action as you leave this world. So if you make such an arrangement where it is distributed unjustly, then that injustice was the last action you did as you left this world. This is how serious it is. And I think the problem stems from the idea that we have that while we're in this world to fulfill our necessities, we've been granted the permission to earn a livelihood, to amass wealth, to take care of our needs. But somehow we get carried away in this, thinking that the wealth that we have belongs entirely to us. And if this one must get it or that one must get it, they are getting my wealth that is going to someone that I do not want it to go to. Well, this is not the case. The wealth that you have in your possession is but an amana. It's a trust from Allah. Allah has left it with you for today, and tomorrow it will go to someone else's possession. So because we look at it as entirely being mine, that I own, that it's mine, that I can do what I want with it, we get deceived into thinking now I can give it to who I want, when Allah has revealed laws in this regard. We can gauge the importance of the laws of inheritance when we look at the way in which Allah has braced this topic in the Noble Quran. A very unique manner that has been chosen for the topic of inheritance. When it comes to salah, repeatedly in the Quran, the injunction is given, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ, establish salah. There is a vague reference to the times of salah. How many rakats is fajr? How many rakats is dhuhr? How many rakats is asr? There's no mention in the Quran. What are the prerequisites for salah? What will break salah? What are the sunan in salah? All of that has been omitted in the Quran. It's all been outlined to us by the practical example of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and through the utterance of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran only gives the instruction with regards to salah. In the same way with fasting, وَأَتِمُّ الصِّيَامِ, we need to fast. That is what the Quran tells us. There's vague reference, but what would be the breakers of fast? What would render your fast in such a way that it is perhaps reprehensible? What would make your fast? What would enhance your fast? That is not outlined in the Quran. We are told, وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةِ, give your zakat. Show me one place in the whole Quran where it's mentioned that zakat is 2.5%. It's not mentioned in the Quran. It doesn't lower the level of this, but it's just that is the system that Allah had given the general instruction in the Quran, but the details are in the Sunnah, which has its own ranking. But when it comes to the laws of inheritance, then Allah has chosen a completely different approach. An entire passage, an entire chapter has been revealed detailing what are the shares, who will get what. If the circumstances are like these, then this is what the person will get. If it changes like that, then that is what the person will get. The fact that this entire aspect has been outlined in the Noble Quran gives us an indication as to how important these laws are. And the verses that were revealed in Surah An-Nisa, there was a certain incident that had unfolded that led to the revelation. So there was a family, a Sahabi who had passed away by the name of Aus bin Malik. And he left behind some wealth, and he left his wife, 2 daughters, and an infant son. And according to the norm amongst the Arabs at that time was that the male relatives of the family of the man who passed away would take his wealth. So the moment his eyes closed, his 2 nephews came, they took his wealth and they went away. His wife was very concerned that I have 2 daughters, I have an infant son. How will I look after these children? How will I take care of their needs? All the wealth is taken away. So she made a plea to these nephews. Said, look, you want to take the wealth? Fine, take the wealth. But the least you can do is get married to these 2 girls. Then at least I don't have to care for them. And they weren't interested in that also. And as the last resort, she went to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and she complained of her condition, that now these nephews have come, they've taken all the wealth, there's nothing for me, there's nothing for my daughters, my son is an infant, how will I survive? It was at that time that the verses were revealed. يُوسِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنْثَيَيْنِ. Allah advises us and commands us with regards to the laws of inheritance. The male will have double the share of the female. And then the verses go on to outline what is the share of the parents, what is the share of the mother, what is the share of the father, what is the share of the husband, if there are children, if there are no children, what is the share of the wife, if there are children, if there are no children, what are the shares of the brothers and the sisters, when will they inherit? And after enlisting all of that with great detail, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, Tilka hududullah. These are the boundaries of Allah. He has outlined it for you in the Noble Quran. A general instruction, but specific also to this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends of these verses by saying, وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ يُدْخِلْهُ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا وَذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger with regards to the laws of inheritance or in general, then he will enter into gardens beneath which rivers flows, and that is the supreme success. And with the glad tidings is a warning. وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger with regards to the laws of inheritance or in general, وَيَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَهُ, and violates the boundaries that Allah has clearly demarked. What are the shares? يُدْخِلْهُ نَارًا خَالِدًا فِيهَا. That person will be entered into a fire and he will have to bear the consequences of his actions. So this verse is very emphatic in the encouragement and also clear in what are the shares that have been outlined by the Quran. And what is the most amazing part of the laws of inheritance and our attitude, when we look at the various types of sins that we as human beings are prone to. As humans, we are fallible, we err, we commit sins. But generally, when there's a sin that a person commits, there's some sort of enjoyment that the person gets from it. So if he steals, he gets some wealth. If he commits zina, he's some pleasure that he gets. If he lies in a business transaction, maybe he wants the money. So there's some benefit that he gets. There can be no justification for sin. And justifying a sin is a major error and it has major consequences. But there are some benefit that the person gets from a sin. But the ulama have said that there are two sins which they term as sins without pleasure. Guna be lazzat. The one is when a person wears his pants below the ankles, there's no enjoyment that the person gets. It's just something in his mind. And the other is when you decide that certain shares must go to a certain person and this is contrary to the laws of Allah. When you want to distribute your inheritance after your demise, contrary to the laws of Allah, this is a sin for which you as a person will get no benefit. Meaning, you'll be in the grave. You'll be getting the punishment for what you did. And there's no benefit that this one must get that and that one must get that. So what are you essentially doing then? What are you doing? You are destroying your akhirat for someone else's dunya. You already left this world. There's no benefit for you in the wealth now. But you now want to give it to this one which is the unright person, or in dealing with it in such a way that you make an unjust will, so you destroy your own akhirat for someone else's dunya. Is that not the height of ignorance and foolishness? That we are willing to sacrifice our own salvation, our own consequences, and we don't even get any benefit out of that. These laws of inheritance are a great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us. And we need to understand it in that light. As you progress in age, perhaps now you feel you're coming towards the end of your life and you want to wrap up your matters. Now you may be bogged down by, how much do I leave for my wife? Do I give her everything? Because she's been here, she assisted me, she supported me, we build a business together, I should give her everything. Then you have a thought, but what if she gets married again? Then some other man must come and he must enjoy all my sweat and blood? Never. Now you're in the dilemma. Like, how much do I really give her? Like the husband and wife are having an argument. And the wife turns around and says, the only reason you married me is because my grand uncle left me $1 million. So the husband was walking away and he turns around and says, don't be ridiculous. Doesn't matter who left it for you. So you will be caught in that dilemma as to how much do I leave for my wife? Similarly, with your own son or your sons, Do I give the one? Do I give the other one? How much do I give them? Do I give them all? Do I give them less? And you'll be caught in that. Allah Rabbul Izzah is telling us, my servant, you prepare to meet me. And I have put a system in which will leave your mind at rest. You don't have to worry what share. I've ordained that in the Quran. All you need to do is create within your son that capacity that he will submit to the Quran. That he will submit to what is the instruction of the deen, and he'll be willing to surrender to that. And sometimes you want to be kind to the one, but you cause so much harm that it's of grave consequences. There's a sheikh by the name of Sheikh Mustafa Ammar, and he's written an incident, and he said that there was a father who left behind 2 sons. For some reason, he was more attached to the one son. So to show his attachment to the one son, he left a will which said all his wealth must go to the one son. After he passes away, when they open up the will and they see it all goes to him, the son is very happy. My father, he really loved me. He was really close to me. This is how he's honored me. The other son, there was nothing for him. So he was angry. He was very, very, disappointed. He felt hurt. But then he thought to himself, yeah, I have a right. I'm going to fight for my right. I will demand it. So he went to his brother and he started fighting for his right. They were unable to resolve it, and it went on for a period of time. Eventually, the brother's in-laws and his in-laws both get involved. Now 2 families are fighting for the inheritance. They continue fighting. They still can't resolve the entire matter. Eventually, the matter gets taken to court, and it's a long, drawn-out process of litigation, and majority of the wealth gets taken up in that court case to prove who's right and who's wrong. And what happens? Everyone's talking in the end about the father and how much trouble he caused for his children. That instead of being kind to the one, now the entire village, the entire town is talking about this father's will, an unjust will, and the great problems that he created as a result of his will. And there was only curse and bad talk. Whereas we as believers, if you do things in a good way, then you leave behind a good legacy. People talk good about you. People talk good. That is a good omen for you. The hadith says, أَيُّمَا رَجُلٍ شَهِدَ لَهُ أَرْبَعَةٌ بِخَيْرٍ. If someone passes away and 4 people talk good about him, or even less than that, then the hadith says that it becomes incumbent. Allah will say, look at my servants. They're talking good of this man. He's such a good man. Let him go into Jannah. So by wanting to show some sort of honor or attachment to the one, so much harm is caused. The problem is perhaps that we don't have confidence in the system that Allah has granted us. We're not truly convinced that the system is the best system, the most beneficial for us as believers, as mu'mineen. It is a comprehensive system. In fact, there's a Western scholar by the name of Al-Mari Ramsey, and he's written in his book, The Muhammadan Laws of Inheritance are by far the most advanced and detailed laws for the devolution of estates that the civilized world has known. Now, we don't need this person to give us confidence in what our Nabi has brought to us. But nevertheless, al-fadlu ma shahida bil-a'da, the true virtue is such virtue that even your enemies are compelled to admit and to acknowledge your virtue. So the system that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has brought to us is the most comprehensive and the most perfect system that has been given to us. It saves us from both extremes. In the Western system, you have a situation where a person is at total liberty to do what he wants with his wealth after he dies. And on the other hand, people have no say whatsoever. So you have total liberty, no say whatsoever. The Sharia has found the middle ground, where you have a say to 1/3, 2/3 you have no say, that is ordained by the Quran. And in the Western system, what you have, a person passes away and he bequeaths all his wealth to his cat. Or he makes a wasiyat that it must go to the SPCA for some charitable cause. And in the process, he doesn't give anything to his son remains a pauper. So the Sharia says, no, yes, you can give, but only to 1/3. That is the right. You can give to whoever you want, whatever charitable cause you want, to 1/3. But you're not so bound that, no, I don't have no say in the matter. Yes, to 1/3 you have that, and the 2/3 that your inheritors will get, so you can't deprive them. Allah has put them in a position, they've made you as your offspring, so now they will benefit naturally from you, and you cannot stand as a barrier in that path. So that is the comprehensive and the balanced system that the Deen of Islam has given us. And we need to be fully convinced that this is the best system that Allah has given us. The hadith, and to end off with this, the hadith says, تَعَلَّمُوا الْفَرَائِضِ فَإِنَّهُ نِصْفُ الْعِلْمِ. Learn the laws of inheritance because it's half of knowledge. And the ulama say that, why is it half of knowledge? Because our existence is basically two phases. One is our existence in this world, and the second is in the barzakh, from when you enter the grave till Qiyamah. And the entire Sharia, in its entirety, is linked to our existence in this world. And this laws of inheritance is linked to our stay in the barzakh. So if you practice on the whole deen, you've taken care of one side of your existence. Now, for the other side, while you're in barzakh, what needs to be taken care of is the laws of inheritance. And once you have that in place, you will then get the reward of having practice on half of deen, simply by making the arrangements for your inheritance to be dissolved according to the laws of the Sharia.